which is funny considering Musk proposed establishing a new party on Twitter, independent of either, supposedly, that got some support from Mark Cuban, Andrew Yang, and they hope the party can attract further solidified support from people like Jamie Dimon and Matthew McConaughey. Which, can you imagine being Matthew McConaughey and your agent calls you to wake you up in the morning? Lots of things have been happening this week, from the big beautiful bill, which Trump claims will save America from its current debt situation. It won't. To Palantir injecting itself full throttle into the government with the worst gay in human history, and that includes the super gay gold addicted god Xerxes, who has slid himself to fill some of the void from Elon's exodus from the White House. Peter Thiel.
I feel absolutely calm and in a normal state.
Which, by the way, did, Trump's big beautiful bill as a teeny law change that states no state can make laws against AI for the next decade. That will not end well. But also, Elon Musk and Trump aren't having what one would describe as an amicable divorce. And let's get into that today. Before we do, I want to address something. This week has been rough for me. Hell, this month, if I'm being honest. And we are still pushing. We will keep pushing. But understand this. Life comes at you very, very fast. And lots of things can be taken away and very little given in return. No, I don't mean relationship stuff, okay? I want to be open and clear. I struggle with depression and anxiety, which is nothing special. Everyone suffers from these, just to varying degrees. Just some of us need help when they do, or else the world has an actual reason given for why we have police, other than just to kill minorities. But also there is my body dysmorphia, financial issues. Again, nothing special. Thousands of trans individuals are going through the same thing. And as far as the financial issues part, basically everyone not in the top echelon tax bracket. But this week I was assuming that I was, in the clear from, some of the stuff. And I was anticipating a lull, but that wasn't true, and decisions were made, very, very bad ones. We'll just leave it at that. Sometimes you have to lose, no matter how hard you think you are. But we are here. We are going to keep pushing forward, and I entrust in all of you a tenet of life, that you keep pushing no matter what. Even in failure, you keep going, you keep improving. Don't bury your head and skate through, not to sound like a drill sergeant, but lift those legs up and get going, okay? Just keep going. Do your best imitation of a track star, no matter race, gender, sexual orientation, creed. If you are in the right, you will make it to the other side, and if you are in the wrong, you'll trip. But you are not allowed to stay down when you trip. Get your ass up, don't make an excuse, cry a little, accept what was wrong, make a change, and I will see you at the finish line. Tell myself it's not gonna cry, and I'm starting to feel myself tear up, which is weird. Ready? Good. Let's lock in. First action we gotta take to lock in. I need you all to hit that subscribe button. Yeah, go on ahead and do that. Just go ahead and do it. I'm gonna go wipe my tears real quick. The girls are fighting with an ominous commitment. Not ominous per se for the average sane individual, but ominous for the committed wing and those on the fringes in the right. Now look, we all know the dick rubbing and sucking that Elon and Trump were doing to each other before, during, and after the election. All the way up to this point, the two were almost inseparable. Tesla got a fucking ad for free on the White House lawn, for Christ's sakes.
Is that legal?
Talk about disrespect to the public by basically trying to push explosive, ready gap-filled, finger-chopping, trash can-shaped, constantly causing chaos-ass vehicles onto the public.
Not cool. Not cool!
I'm still proud of the fact I never ever liked the eggs sliding out of Tesla factories. Unlike some people, a bumper sticker does not get you away from the shame that I give you for having seen that as a very good looking vehicle. I tell you, one electric vehicle that I am a fan of is Lucid. It's a fancy smancy electric vehicle, likely would never ever buy one, but if I had to, like if I was forced by the government or given a check to go buy one, it would be one of those, not a trash dumpster with wheels.
Shut up, bitch!
Now, I personally think Donald Trump has of course done 1,000 levels worse than Musk in inviting hell into the halls of America's spaces. I mean, the dude has basically delegitimized countless institutions which needed the public's trust to maintain some symbol of order and progress, but Elon has not been a simple lieutenant in the armies of idiotic, racist, capitalist, oligarchy, corrupt bullshit. He and Trump really joined kingdoms of hell rather than battled. Elon threw millions behind Trump's campaign. Dude was offering like $1 million in some states, not just for the recent Minnesota Supreme Court race, but also before the presidential election. And we got a clear example of a man-child when Elon was spotted doing the most ketamine-filled jump I've ever seen in my life. Also, Elon was always straight up gone on ketamine. Like, I'm shocked no one has noticed this until now. Maybe it's because the effects are starting to truly compound, but I felt like the dude's always been on ketamine.
Yes.
You on drugs?
But this was never going to last. Trump and Elon have the largest egos of egos in America today. One has a rabid fan base and control over one political party. The other has control over every sweaty, neck-beard single idiot on Reddit and Twitter, as well as all the Bitcoin pros, and also made a non-tech company appear like a tech company and make billions off of it. You see, not only did Elon fail in that Supreme Court race, Elon was more or less an annoying outcast that Trump allowed to be in the White House and in a way needed. A fall guy of sorts. But his staff who are loyal to Trump didn't like him, especially with his DOGE department putting their tiny dicks in every department's inner workings and causing 1 million miles worth of vacancies, irreversible harm, and inefficiency. Many of which hurts red areas, as most red areas find their largest job sources from either Walmart or the federal fucking government.
She turned to Trump, who had promised on the campaign trail to fully cover the procedure. It ended up being the very reason she cast her ballot for President Trump this past November. Riley Cooper joins me now. Riley, welcome. Thank you for sharing your story. And I wonder, what was it like for you when you got the news that you were being let go?
It was really hard. I was on the phone with my best friend, Kaylee, at the time, and we were just discussing her life and how things were going. And I looked at my phone and I had gotten a text from our union rep, and he told me that I was going to be fired the next day.
Really dumb.
And since Musk had tied himself so much to the admin, his businesses were always going to take the fall. This, of course, put a lot of his remaining image at risk, which, by the way, they got on Zelensky for not wearing a suit in the White House. When have you ever seen Elon Musk wear a suit while in the White House? Dude has never wore a suit in the White House, except for maybe once. So he was inevitably leaving, but for it to have come this quick was something I think few people predicted, myself included. And so now that he has made the exodus, the release and observation of the big beautiful bill, which has passed so far in the House, but so far not the Senate, and likely, God hoping, not at all in the Senate, because holy fuck, that bill is a disaster. That was the final nail in Elon's fragile mind. The biggest issue Elon takes with it is the EV mandate cuts. Now, if you don't know what that is, here is a quick rundown. The EV mandate was how Elon rose through Tesla. When the American government was committing to a bit of a degree of the Paris Climate Accord and other green initiatives, they were pushing auto manufacturers to produce electric vehicles, but many of them had very little reason to go down that path because after all, it was untested, uncertain technology, the ranges and all that stuff was not there. And so big money needs to know it can grow itself before it does something like go out on the limb, which if you think about it, technically EV cars were a big infrastructure investment even for large manufacturers. So it was really kind of going out on a limb. But Elon was set up through Tesla from the jump to make these EV credits in great doses because Tesla's whole thing, unlike a lot of car manufacturers, was their only manufacturing product was the cars. And so they had years to countlessly focus on the batteries, get the range right, and so forth and so on, and set up the infrastructure. Of course, some of that came with Elon's money, but it also came from simply investors, which is the big part. They received EV credits that were more than they would even need. And so he sold the excess to the countless manufacturers with no level near Tesla in production, so that way they could avoid the federal fines for not producing a certain amount of electric vehicles according to these green initiatives. Selling these credits has essentially made Tesla even remotely close to its current value, Without them, Tesla would struggle extremely greatly. They would not probably even be where they are right now without the EV credits. Not to mention likely cuts to the government subsidy of the EV market through money from Biden's big infrastructure bill.
You are an idiot!
Which was to assist in expanding charging networks and so forth and so on. So with Trump threatening probably billions upon billions of Elon's net worth, with all he has done to go down this road with Trump, we got this.
I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate.
Musk was listening and he responded in real time, basically calling Trump a liar. False. This bill was never shown to me even once, he declared on social media as Trump bashed him. Such ingratitude. Without me, Trump would have lost the election. The president says Musk has a case of Trump derangement syndrome.
I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration, they leave, and they wake up in the morning, and the glamour's gone, the whole world is different, and they become hostile.
The rift is reportedly so deep, Musk won't even take calls from the White House.
Members of Trump's team have reached out to Elon Musk. No response.
Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if it went well anymore. I was surprised.
Now, Elon hasn't pulled the brakes on this at all, and has been doing so with a truly cutting effort, including alluding to Trump being the reason for the Epstein list not coming out because he was on it.
Who let the cat out of the bag?
Which, holy shit, but also...
Duh.
And also, Elon, do you know your brother would also be on that list, right? Or, I mean, like...
Oh, no. No, 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 no. Oh, no. No, 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 no.
I know people aren't supposed to be their brother's keeper, technically, but you do have some responsibility for that idiot. But also, Elon is even threatening to dismantle his own businesses, because some of the cuts in the bill would also come at SpaceX, who has more or less been acting as a private NASA for years now. And look, Elon's ego is so massive that if you are still holding stock in his companies, you are very much a fucking idiot and deserve every dollar you lose, because this dude never truly cared about his companies in the first place. Usually only time he pulls them out to do some grand showcase, like when he did the robots and the robot taxis, was literally just to create an unrealistic expectation for stock prices and then dip the moment the money interest it created increased his net worth. Trump, of course, isn't holding back either. First, he went with the he is just a bit mad he isn't here anymore. Now, at the time of recording, I don't believe Trump has responded to the accusations of him being involved with Epstein, which, you know, of course he wouldn't. I mean, Trump's stupid, but I'm pretty sure the people around him have very much made it clear, do not bring up Epstein, because you will very much lose that argument. I mean, like, anyone with a net worth above like 50 million in New York from the 90s to the 2010s, even if it's just a summer home in New York, a summer condo or whatever, likely had Epstein on a no-to-no first name basis. But of course, there are threats of canceling Elon's many government contracts, which, you know, yeah.
Do it! Just do it!
Should have did it beforehand. I mean, the motherfucker has, by my opinion, allegedly committed treason and a countless set of other crimes. He's a fucking welfare queen. Literally, if you look it up in the dictionary, Elon's face will be right there. He doesn't do shit. His engineers do it, and the money he put in the beginning is tainted, because all he ever does, whine and whine, pushing people in his companies to the edge in all aspects to either release a dog shit product or suck more cash out of the federal government while likely paying very little to no taxes at all. You don't get rich by spending money in this country, you get rich by getting it and holding on to it for dear life and then making others pay for what you want. Others being the American taxpayer. Some Republicans are holding on for dear life, trying to explain this situation away. Some are using the mommy and daddy are fighting, and I'd wish they stop arguing, such as Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina, a man who will forever stamp in my mind South Carolina has more gay men than it will admit to say. And he said, the bill can be made better. but it's not an abomination. Let's pass this bill, he said. We can make additional cuts to spending as necessary, but I want to put some points on the board. Get the tax cuts, make them permanent, get money, do the border. But Musk is right. We should cut more. And some Republicans have gone down the route of daddy is gone, mommy, and he ain't coming back, so let's make sure that he isn't coming back. Like Steve Bannon, the epitome of what I assume a human bubonic plague boil combo looks like if it had sentience, said on his War Room live show Thursday that Trump should sign an executive order to take control of SpaceX through a national security mobilization law called the Defense Production Act. The U.S. government should seize it, Bannon said, adding that the administration should strip Musk of his security clearance and suspend all federal contracts to his companies pending an investigation into him. Which is crazy because I slightly agree with a bubonic boil plague. The world is truly coming to an end.
Jesus Christ.
And some defended Musk and tossed Trump over the coals, such as Congressman Thomas Massie, a Republican who has been opposed to Trump's budget bill and been critical of the president in the past, who said on X, a falling out was inevitable. You don't land rockets backwards or get cars to drive themselves by suffering fools gladly. Which is an insane Elon dick sucking like comment I have ever heard. It was an attempt to be intelligent, but it was just so stupid and glazing of Elon. It was so dumb. Now, before we conclude on what I think this will do to the Republican Party, I want to note that Democrats, the full-on bitch-made fools that they are, have said little to nothing on this and done little to cause this, preferring to let the media play the game, and when they should be making it loud and clear both of these idiots are the problem and need to both be investigated, but of course they won't, which is funny considering Musk proposed establishing a new party on Twitter independent of either, supposedly, that got some support from Mark Cuban, Andrew Yang, and they hope the party can attract further solidified support from people like Jamie Dimon and Matthew McConaughey. Which, can you imagine being Matthew McConaughey and your like agent calls you to wake you up in the morning, and someone out there probably making a TikTok with interest in you as president with your tagline of all right, and you're just like, but I won't be able to go to Longhorn football game or do Lincoln car commercials, and that will make my life feel very unclear. Like, you know, the man wants nothing to do with this. He just wants to be left alone. Also, I don't think he's Republican. I don't think he would work with a party with Elon Musk involved, even if that was the case. So at best, this will just allow the Democrats to do what they already have been doing in all but name. Become the new Republican Party in a few years. Believe it or not, you don't have to go very far from liberal to reach conservative. But they would just incorporate those from the Republican Party who didn't submit completely to Trump derangement, syndrome, or the Trump derangement era, to the MAGA supporter, typing that I have it in the comments. Do yourself a favor and just stop. I'm glad you made it this far. It is a sign to show you do have some ability to remain focused long enough and listen to other people's arguments. But also, be honest with yourself. Why is it they always claim someone liberal on the left is a threat, and yet for basically the past 10-ish years or so, Dems haven't even remotely put up a legitimate challenge or alteration to your life? The last time a Democrat truly altered your life was Obama with the Affordable Care Act. Since then, the Dems haven't done a thing to improve my life or harm yours. And you could say maybe the Biden infrastructure bill, but the shit was so fucking watered down. I've said this before. It was not as juicy as you all think it was. Sure, it was money that was needed, but it was not even remotely close to what is needed. Yet the boogeyman is somehow always Democrats. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the useless Republicans arguing with each other over who gets to fuck you next, with no lube.
And, for the future, you came on a little strong.
Just a thought. Now, for the Republicans, I genuinely think they are rapidly approaching the cannibalization point that all fascists approach. There are too many egos, and though Trump might fancy himself a Hitlerite or a Kim Jong-un or something of that sort, his rise has come in a very different age than they did. One of communication, ideological battle, and discourse, with no pressure valve for the past 30 years or so for the working class. It is hard to get people to fully commit to something if they're always struggling. So it's just a growing gap of continuous excuses. I think it's safe to say the chance for this ending well for their party, by the time Trump is finished in the White House, whether through impeachment or poor health or the end of his term, the party will have run the course of the last bit of lies and will not be able to answer for it to a level of true survival. Or at least I hope that's the case. evil tends to live very, very long in this mortal world. But who knows? Pandering doesn't work long-term on Americans, and it also clearly doesn't work long-term on the rich and powerful as this rabid bromance comes to its end. But I'm just mad we never got to see them kiss, to be honest with you. Like, all the glazing of each other, and there was not one kiss, even if it was an accidental kiss on the lips. We never saw it, and that kind of pisses me off, okay? I feel like I'm not the only person who's pissed off about that. Let me know if you're pissed off about that in the comments. That's the only thing I want to hear about in the comments.